Hi, I'm Michael McPadden from the Tango API team with another tutorial for Tango's Mobile Procurement REST API, sometimes known as MobProc for short. In this quick video, I'll be showing you how to obtain a list of states or provinces. There are various cases where you might need to do this. For example, say you need to display a list of states or provinces that were contained within a particular country, or perhaps you're generating a form for a user to enter their shipping information. Whatever the reason, getting this list is easy and can be done by calling one of two endpoints, the RegionCollection and the endpoint to obtain a single region detail record. Each endpoint returns somewhat different information, so I'll show you examples of each. The one you will want to choose will depend on your particular use case. First, I'll tell you about the RegionCollection. Before making your request to this endpoint, you will need to know the ID for the country which you wish to get the list of states or provinces. You will use this ID to set the parent region query parameter in your API call. If you don't know the country ID, simply make a call to this endpoint without setting the parent region query parameter, and this will return a list of all countries that you can parse to get your desired ID. In addition to the parent region, there is another query parameter that I want to point out called type. By default, this parameter is set to all, but currently you have one other choice labeled procurement. Choosing this option will return only the regions that can be used in procurement transactions, as opposed to other activities like viewing assets or orders. Based on your use case, you can decide if this filter is helpful. Okay, now when you make your call to get the list of states, the response will include an array of items that, for each item, includes information about a particular state or province. You will know they are states by looking at the type property. It will be set to state_province. But you'll probably be most interested in three other properties. Abbreviation, this is the standard two-letter abbreviated version of the state's name. ID, this is the Tango assigned region ID that uniquely identifies this particular state. And name, which is the full name of the state. Another way to get a list of states is using the endpoint for getting details about one specific country, that is, the region/ID endpoint. This one is probably most useful for the use case where you're generating the shipping information form. In fact, you may already be calling this endpoint in order to get the address format information that you will use to determine which address components need to be included in your form. When calling this endpoint, you will simply pass your country ID in as the URI parameter. The response returned will include a whole bunch of information about that country. In particular, the state address component should contain an array of options that can be used to populate a state or province dropdown in your form. Okay, before I wrap this up, I want to quickly demonstrate calling these two endpoints using our developer portal. Here we have the RegionCollection endpoint. I've already filled in my client ID and checked my scope, and now I'll fill in my tenant. And again, client ID. Okay, down at the query parameters, here's where we will enter our parent region. I'm going to enter the parent region for the United States and then submit it. And I'll scroll down to our response and you'll see in the body our regions array with each of the regions, in this case, each of the states in the USA. Again, this is probably the endpoint you'll more often call to get your list. But let me show you the other endpoint you may want to consider. As I said, this one could be more useful when you're populating the shipping information input form and need to populate a state or province dropdown. If we scroll down to the URI parameters, we'll enter again our ID for the United States. Then I'll just add my remaining headers. And submit the request. I'll scroll down to my response. We'll look at the address format block and scroll down to the state component. Notice the options array, as you can see, includes all of the states. And as I said, since you will likely already be using this endpoint to generate your input form, also parsing the same response for these state and province options is probably more convenient than making the extra call to the RegionCollection. When you get to the state address component, you could simply loop this array and get the label value pairs that you need to populate your dropdown options, then just continue on generating the input form. So those are the two ways you can obtain a list of states or provinces for a specific country. You can make a call to the RegionCollection endpoint, passing in a parent region ID in as the query parameter. Or you can use the region/ID endpoint, passing in the country ID as the URI parameter to get details for that country, including states and provinces. I hope you found this video useful. For more information and tutorials on other topics, we recommend browsing the MobProc API video library at mobproc.tv and our documentation website at mobproc.info. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and have a great day.